A millionaire father forgets his sleeping son in the car, under the blazing sun, while attending a crucial meeting. Trapped by the locks and without air, the baby collapses inside the vehicle, about to explode. But a poor girl, selling candies, at the traffic lights sees the smoke and does the unthinkable. The father rushes down and witnesses the scene that will haunt him for the rest of his life. Watch until the end. If this story interested you, subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to like this video and tell us which city you're watching us from. We'll keep going. The Houston skyline glimmered against the morning sun as Jonathan Blake checked his watch for the 5th time in as many minutes. At 42, he had mastered the art of precision, in business deals, in financial projections, in every aspect of life that could be controlled. Except, perhaps, fatherhood. "Come on, buddy. Daddy's got a meeting," he coaxed, balancing his 8-month-old son Noah on his hip, while attempting to secure the last button on his custom-tailored shirt with his free hand. The baby gurgled, drool dampening Jonathan's collar. Any other day, Mrs. Patel would have arrived at 6 a.m. sharp, taken Noah from his arms, and sent Jonathan off to conquer the business world. But today, a call at 5:30 a.m. had changed everything. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Blake," Mrs. Patel had rasped over the phone, her voice barely audible. "This fever. I can't get out of bed. I won't be able to watch Noah today." Now, Jonathan paced the marble floors of his penthouse, phone pressed to his ear, on hold with every daycare service in the area. Nothing. No availability. Not for a drop-in, not on such short notice. He glanced at his watch again. 7:15 a.m. His meeting with the Saudi investors was at 8:30 a.m. sharp. A $75 million deal hung in the balance, the culmination of 3 years of negotiations, the cornerstone of Blake Enterprises' expansion into international markets. Missing it wasn't an option. "You're coming with Daddy today," Jonathan announced, attempting to sound cheerful. Noah blinked his blue eyes, uncomprehending but trusting. Jonathan felt a pang of something, guilt maybe, or the awareness that he wasn't exactly Father of the Year material. He pushed it away, focusing instead on the logistics of the morning. 15 minutes later, after a hurried feeding, a diaper change, and stuffing a bag with what he hoped were all the baby essentials, Jonathan secured Noah in his car seat. The baby's eyelids were already drooping, lulled by the white noise machine Jonathan had cleverly placed beside him. "That's right, buddy. You sleep while Daddy saves the company," he murmured, placing a gentle kiss on Noah's forehead before closing the car door. The drive downtown was a blur of phone calls and mental preparation. Jonathan rehearsed his presentation, visualized the handshakes, the signatures, the future that awaited Blake Enterprises. His phone buzzed incessantly, his assistant sending last-minute updates, the legal team with contract revisions, the marketing department with press release drafts. When he pulled into the executive parking garage beneath the gleaming Blake Enterprises tower, Jonathan was so deeply entrenched in a call with his CFO that he moved on autopilot. He gathered his briefcase, adjusted his tie, and strode toward the elevator. His mind was already in the boardroom, calculating profit margins and projecting revenue streams. The Houston heat was already building, promising another scorching summer day. The air conditioning in the underground garage struggled against it, creating a humid, oppressive atmosphere. Jonathan loosened his tie slightly as he stepped into the elevator, mentally switching gears to become the confident CEO his investors expected. 20 floors up, his executive assistant, Melissa, met him with a tablet and a concerned expression. "They're early," she whispered, falling into step beside him. Already in the conference room, Ahmad seems tense. Jonathan nodded, absorbing this information while scanning the documents she handed him. "Get Rebecca from legal up here. And tell kitchen to send in the special Arabian coffee service I ordered." "Already done," Melissa replied, "and the presentation has been updated with the new projections." "Perfect." Jonathan paused at the door to his office, quickly checking his appearance in the reflective glass. He looked every inch the successful businessman, confident, polished, in control. "Give me 5 minutes, then send them in." The meeting began exactly as planned. Jonathan commanded the room with practiced ease, guiding the Saudi businessman through projections, addressing concerns, building trust. Charts displayed on massive screens showed growth potential. The legal team distributed contracts. The executive chef personally delivered a selection of Middle Eastern pastries alongside the traditional coffee service. It was also precisely orchestrated that Jonathan felt a surge of pride. This was his element. This was what Jonathan Blake was born to do. The third quarter projections show a 22% increase, he explained, gesturing to a graph. But our analysts believe we're being conservative, with the Asian markets opening up. Halfway through his presentation, a strange feeling disrupted his flow. Something nagged at the edges of his consciousness. Jonathan faltered for a split second, barely noticeable to anyone but himself, before continuing. The feeling persisted, growing stronger as the morning progressed. By the time they were reviewing the final contract details, it had evolved into a sense of dread that Jonathan couldn't shake. He maintained his professional demeanor, but inside anxiety bloomed. "If you'll turn to page 17, he directed, "you'll see the profit-sharing structure we've outlined." Ahmad, the lead investor, nodded approvingly. "Very fair terms, Mr. Blake. Better than we expected." The compliment should have pleased him. Instead, Jonathan felt the dread intensify. Something was wrong, something important. But what? The meeting concluded with handshakes and photographs. Jonathan smiled for the company photographer, exchanged business cards, made promises about his upcoming trip to Riyadh. All while that nagging feeling grew stronger. As the investors filed out, escorted by Melissa to a waiting limousine, Jonathan remained in the conference room, staring out at the Houston skyline. The summer sun beat down mercilessly, creating heat waves that distorted the view of the parking lots below. Parking lots. Cars. His car. The realization hit him with such force that he physically staggered, grabbing the edge of the conference table for support. Noah. Noah was still in the car. The world tilted on its axis. Jonathan couldn't breathe, couldn't think. In an instant, every business achievement, every million earned, every deal closed, became meaningless. He burst from the conference room, startling Melissa, who was returning with celebratory champagne. "Sir, is everything—" But Jonathan was already at the elevator, jabbing the button with frantic energy. When the doors didn't open immediately, he bolted toward the emergency stairs, taking them 3 at a time, his designer shoes slipping on the concrete steps. 20 floors down, each second an eternity. His heart pounded so hard he felt it might explode. His mind filled with terrible images. The car sitting in the unshaded section of the garage, the rising temperature. Noah, strapped in his car seat, unable to escape. How long had it been? 3 hours? 4? The Texas summer heat was unforgiving, turning cars into ovens within minutes. "Please," he gasped as he ran, though he wasn't sure who he was begging. "Please, please, please." He burst into the parking garage, disoriented momentarily by the identical rows of luxury vehicles. Which level had he parked on? Where was his car? And then he heard it. A sound that wasn't quite right. Not the ambient hum of the garage's ventilation system or the distant rumble of cars. Something else. Glass breaking. Jonathan sprinted toward the sound, rounding a concrete pillar to see his black Lexus, and beside it, the smallest person he'd ever seen wielding the largest rock imaginable. Lily Harper had woken up at dawn, as she did every day, careful not to disturb her mother, who slept fitfully on the worn mattress they shared. At 6 years old, Lily had already mastered the art of silence, moving through their tiny one-room apartment like a ghost, preparing for her day with the efficiency of someone 3 times her age. She knew the routine by heart. Wash face, brush teeth, change into the cleanest clothes available. Eat a small breakfast, today it was half a peanut butter sandwich saved from yesterday. Check her mother's medication, leave a glass of water within reach, and slip out before the Houston. Heat became unbearable. Summer meant no school, which meant no free lunches. And with her mother too sick to work, it meant Lily needed to help. The small box of candy tucked into her backpack represented hope. each piece sold bringing them a step closer to paying for her mother's prescription. "I'll be back soon, Mama," Lily whispered, placing a gentle kiss on her mother's forehead. Grace Harper stirred slightly, her skin warm with fever despite the rattling window air conditioner. "Be careful, baby," Grace murmured, her eyes fluttering open briefly. "Don't go too far today. It's gonna be hot." "I know, Mama. I'll stay in the shade." Lily adjusted the thin sheet covering her mother. "I left your pills and water right here. Don't forget to take them at noon." Grace managed a weak smile. "My little nurse, what would I do without you?" Lily didn't answer. They both knew the question wasn't hypothetical. Without insurance, since Grace lost her job at the hospital cafeteria, the medication that kept her autoimmune disease in check was nearly impossible to afford. The doctor at the free clinic had warned that without it, Grace's condition would deteriorate rapidly. So Lily sold candy. And sometimes, when people weren't looking, she collected abandoned cans for recycling. And occasionally, when the traffic light stayed red long enough, she washed windshields with a squeegee she'd found in a dumpster. The Houston streets were already warming as Lily made her way downtown. She had her spots, the business district intersections where expensive cars stopped, driven by people who sometimes gave her $1 even without taking candy. Her favorite was the corner near the gleaming Blake Enterprises tower, where the traffic signals were timed just right, giving her nearly 2 minutes to work her magic. By mid-morning, Lily had sold half her inventory and collected $12.37. Not bad, but not enough. Her mother's medication cost $89 per refill. They were already 3 days behind. The sun climbed higher, turning the city into a shimmering mirage of heat. Lily retreated to the shadow of a parking garage entrance, sipping carefully from her water bottle. Downtown Houston in summer was brutal, concrete and glass amplifying the heat until it became a living thing, pressing down, making it hard to breathe. She watched people hurry into air-conditioned buildings, their faces already flushed from the brief exposure to the elements. No one noticed the small girl sitting cross-legged in the shadows. She was invisible as always. A commotion near the entrance to the Blake Enterprises tower caught her attention. Men in expensive suits were leaving, surrounded by security and assistants. Limousines waited. Lily recognized an opportunity. Wealthy businessmen sometimes gave the biggest tips, especially when surrounded by colleagues they wanted to impress. She was gathering her courage to approach when a strange smell reached her. Something burning. Plastic, maybe? Lily looked around, following her nose toward the entrance of the parking garage. The smell grew stronger. Then she noticed something else. A wisp of smoke, barely visible, rising from somewhere deep within the garage. Lily hesitated. The parking attendant had chased her away before, threatening to call security if she bothered the important people who parked there. But something told her this was different. Something was wrong. She slipped past the payment booth while the attendant was busy with a customer, following the burning smell deeper into the garage. The further she went, the hotter it became, the ventilation system struggling against the heat trapped by concrete walls. Sweat trickled down her back as she moved between rows of expensive cars. That's when she saw it. A black Lexus with windows so fogged they were nearly opaque. The smell was definitely coming from there. Was something burning inside? Lily approached cautiously, her heart beating faster. Pressing her face against the driver's window, she tried to see inside, but it was too clouded. She moved to the back passenger window, cupping her hands around her eyes to block the garage lights. What she saw made her stomach drop. A baby, strapped in a car seat, not moving. The child's face was bright red, head lolled to one side. Beside the car seat, something was smoking. It looked like a small electronic device, its plastic case warping from the heat. Lily yanked at the door handle. Locked. "Hey!" she shouted, looking around desperately. "Someone's baby is in here." Her voice echoed through the garage, but no one appeared. The payment booth was too far away, around several corners. There wasn't time to run for help. The baby wasn't moving. Lily pounded on the window. "Wake up, wake up!" But the child didn't stir. She knew about hot cars. Her teacher had shown them a video last year about never leaving pets or babies in vehicles. "It's like an oven," Ms. Martinez had explained. "Even a few minutes can be dangerous." How long had this baby been here? The garage was marginally cooler than outside, but still dangerously hot. And that smoking device, what if it caught fire? Lily ran to the wall where a fire extinguisher hung in a glass case. Next to it was a small red box with the words "Emergency use only" and a hammer attached by a chain. She'd seen these before. They were for breaking windows to escape fires. The box was too high. Lily jumped, fingers stretching, but couldn't reach it. Frustrated tears welled in her eyes as she looked back at the car. The smoke seemed thicker now. Then she spotted it, a chunk of concrete that had broken away from a parking barrier. It was heavy, awkward, but it was her only option. Lily dragged the concrete piece to the car, struggling under its weight. Positioning herself at the rear passenger window, closest to the baby, she remembered something else Ms. Martinez had taught them. The corners of windows are weaker than the center. With all her strength, Lily swung the concrete chunk at the lower corner of the window. It bounced off, the impact jarring her small arms. She tried again and again. On the fourth try, the glass cracked. On the fifth, it shattered. Not completely, but enough to create a hole. Shards sliced her arms as she reached through, frantically searching for the door lock. Blood mixed with sweat, dripping onto her worn sneakers, but Lily barely noticed. Finally, her fingers found the lock button. The door opened with a hiss of superheated air that felt like opening an oven. The heat that rushed out was staggering, bringing with it the acrid smell of burning plastic and something else, the sweet, sickening scent of soiled diaper. Lily coughed, eyes watering, but didn't hesitate. She climbed half into the car, reaching for the complicated-looking harness that secured the baby. Her bleeding fingers struggled with unfamiliar buckles and straps. "It's okay," she whispered, though she wasn't sure the baby could hear her. "I'm getting you out. It's okay." The harness finally gave way. Lily carefully gathered the limp infant in her arms, shocked by how hot the baby's skin felt, like touching a radiator. The child was soaked with sweat, clothes plastered to tiny limbs. As she backed out of the car, cradling the baby against her chest, Lily noticed flames, small but growing, licking at the electronic device. The fire was spreading to the upholstery. She had just enough time to get clear of the vehicle, the unconscious baby held protectively in her arms, when she heard footsteps pounding through the garage. A man rounded the corner at full sprint, his face a mask of terror. Their eyes met. Across the distance, the small bloodied girl holding the limp child, and the man in the expensive suit who had forgotten his baby existed. That's when the first real flames erupted inside the Lexus, reflecting in both their widened eyes. Time seemed to freeze as Jonathan stared at the small figure holding his son. His mind couldn't process the scene fast enough. The shattered window, the child's blood-streaked arms, Noah's unnaturally still body, and now flames climbing up the interior of his luxury car. "Noah!" The name tore from his throat as he lunged forward. The girl's eyes widened with recognition. "Are you his dad?" Before Jonathan could answer, the fire alarm began blaring through the garage. The flames inside the car had triggered the sensors. Somewhere, sprinklers would activate soon. "Give him to me," Jonathan gasped, reaching for his son. The baby felt frighteningly hot against his skin, his tiny head lolling lifelessly. "Noah, buddy, wake up. Please wake up." The garage's sprinkler system activated, sending a cold drizzle over them. The contrast between the water and Noah's feverish skin sent a new wave of terror through Jonathan. "We need an ambulance," he said, his CEO voice completely gone, replaced by the desperate plea of a terrified father. "My son needs help." The girl nodded solemnly, her maturity incongruous with her small size. "The car's on fire. We should move away." She was right. The flames were growing despite the sprinklers, feeding on the luxury vehicle's upholstery and plastic components. Black smoke billowed from the open door. Jonathan clutched Noah to his chest and backed away, just as the first security guards arrived, followed by the parking attendant. "Call 911, Jonathan shouted. "My son, he was in the car. He needs an ambulance." The next minutes blurred together. The wail of approaching sirens, the parking garage filling with emergency personnel, firefighters containing the blaze that had engulfed his car. Paramedics taking Noah from his arms, their faces grim as they assessed the infant's condition. Severe hypothermia, dehydration, pulse is weak and rapid. Jonathan stood helplessly by, dripping wet from the sprinklers, as they placed an oxygen mask over Noah's tiny face and inserted an IV line into his arm. His son looked impossibly small on the stretcher, surrounded by equipment and determined paramedics. "Sir, we need to transport him immediately," one said, her tone gentle but urgent. "You can ride with us." It was only then that Jonathan remembered the girl. He turned to find her sitting on the concrete floor a few feet away, being examined by another paramedic who was bandaging her lacerated arms. She looked even smaller now, dwarfed by the adults and equipment surrounding her. "She saved him," Jonathan said, his voice breaking. "She broke the window and got him out." The paramedic nodded. "She'll need to come too. Those cuts need proper attention." In the ambulance, Jonathan sat rigidly beside Noah's stretcher, one hand resting lightly on his son's leg, afraid to touch him more for fear of causing pain. Across from him, the girl watched with solemn brown eyes, her bandaged arms cradled in her lap. "What's your name?" Jonathan finally asked, needing to break the terrible silence filled only by beeping monitors and the rumble of the ambulance. "Lily," she replied quietly. "Lily Harper." "Lily," he repeated, the word catching in his throat. "You saved my son's life. I don't. I can't. Is he going to be okay?" she interrupted, her focus entirely on Noah. The paramedic monitoring Noah's vitals answered before Jonathan could. "We're doing everything we can. His temperature is dangerously high, but children are resilient. The doctor will know more." At Houston Memorial Hospital, Noah was whisked away immediately, surrounded by a team of medical professionals, speaking in urgent tones about cooling measures and fluid replacement. Jonathan tried to follow, but a kind-faced nurse intercepted him. "Sir, please let them work. I'll take you to the waiting area and keep you updated." "But he's my son. I need to—" "The best thing you can do for your son right now is let the doctors help him," she said firmly. "Someone will come talk to you very soon." Defeated, Jonathan allowed himself to be led to a private waiting room. It was only then that he noticed Lily was still with him, being guided by another nurse toward an examination room. "Wait," he called. She's with me." The nurses exchanged glances, clearly confused by the relationship between the disheveled executive and the poor child with bandaged arms. "She saved my son," Jonathan explained. "Please, I want to make sure she's okay." "I need to call my—" "Mom," Lily said suddenly, looking anxious for the first time. "She's sick. She doesn't know where I am." Jonathan knelt down to her eye level, a gesture that felt foreign to his corporate-trained body. "Lily, we'll call your mom right away. I promise. But first, let the doctors take care of your arms, okay?" He nodded reluctantly, then was led away to be treated. Jonathan collapsed into a chair, the full weight of what had happened finally crushing down on him. He'd forgotten his own child in a hot car, left him there for hours. While he conducted business, Noah had been slowly suffering, could have died. Would have died if not for a chance intervention by a little girl who had more presence of mind than he did. The shame was unbearable. A doctor entered the waiting room an hour later, her face serious but not grim. "Mr. Blake, I'm Dr. Reyes, pediatric emergency specialist." Jonathan shot to his feet. "My son, is he—" "Noah is stabilizing," she said. "His condition was critical when he arrived. Body temperature of 105.8 degrees, severe dehydration, early organ stress. But we've implemented aggressive cooling measures and he's responding well. He'll be okay?" Jonathan could barely form the question. "We believe so, yes. He'll need to remain hospitalized for at least 48 hours for observation. We're particularly concerned about potential neurological effects, but so far, his responses are encouraging." Dr. Reyes paused. "Mr. Blake, may I ask how this happened?" The question he'd been dreading. Jonathan swallowed hard. I forgot he was in the car. I had an important meeting and the nanny called in sick and I forgot." He expected judgment, condemnation. Instead, Dr. Reyes sighed. Unfortunately, this happens more often than you might think. Even to loving, attentive parents, the human brain is surprisingly vulnerable to routine disruptions and stress. I left my baby in a hot car for hours, Jonathan said, the words like acid on his tongue. There's no excuse for that. No, there isn't, she agreed, but understanding why it happened might help prevent it in the future. Would you like to see him now? Jonathan nodded, not trusting himself to speak. Noah lay in a specialized cooling unit, his tiny body connected to monitors and IV lines. His skin was still flushed but less alarmingly red. When Jonathan approached, Noah's eyes fluttered open, those perfect blue eyes that matched his late mother's. "Hey, buddy," Jonathan whispered, tears streaming freely down his face. "Daddy's here. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." Noah's lips moved slightly, not quite a smile but a response. A nurse nearby explained that they'd given him mild sedatives to keep him comfortable during the cooling process. "He recognized you," she said encouragingly. "That's a very good sign." Jonathan stayed by Noah's side, holding his small hand, until a hospital social worker appeared with Lily in tow. The girl's arms were properly bandaged now, and someone had given her a clean t-shirt bearing the hospital's logo. "Mr. Blake, Lily has been asking to check on your son, and we've been trying to reach her mother, but there's no answer." Lily stepped forward, her eyes immediately finding Noah in his specialized bed. "Is he better?" "He is," Jonathan told her, making room so she could see better. "The doctors say he's going to be okay. Because of you, Lily." She nodded solemnly, then turned worried eyes to the social worker. "I really need to go home. My mom needs her medicine at noon. She might be sleeping too hard to hear the phone." The social worker looked uncomfortable. "We should really make contact with a parent or guardian before—" "I'll take her home," Jonathan interrupted. "I'll make sure she gets there safely and that her mother is okay." The offer surprised even himself. 2 hours ago, he'd been in a boardroom closing a multi-million-dollar deal. Now he was volunteering to escort a child to what he imagined was the poorest part of Houston. But as he looked at Noah, peaceful now under the watchful eyes of the medical team, and at Lily, whose bloodied arms and quick thinking had saved his son's life, Jonathan knew there was no other option. His priorities, scrambled for so long, were suddenly crystal clear. Jonathan Blake had never set foot in Houston's East End. As his hastily summoned company car navigated the increasingly narrow streets, the gleaming downtown skyscrapers receded, in the rearview mirror replaced by weathered buildings, chain-link fences, and corner stores with barred windows. Beside him in the back seat, Lily sat with perfect posture, her bandaged hands folded in her lap. She'd given the driver precise directions, naming streets and landmarks with the confidence of someone 3 times her age. "It's the yellow building," she finally said, "the one with the broken steps." The driver pulled alongside a dilapidated 2-story apartment complex, paint peeled from its exterior like skin after a sunburn. The concrete steps leading to the entrance were indeed crumbling, with makeshift wooden boards creating a precarious path. "You live here?" Jonathan asked, unable to mask his shock. Lily nodded, already reaching for the door handle. "Apartment 14. It's on the ground floor in the back." Jonathan instructed the driver to wait, then followed Lily through a narrow passageway between buildings. The summer heat seemed even more oppressive here, trapped between walls with no trees or shade. To mitigate it, the air smelled of garbage and something vaguely chemical. Apartment 14's door was reinforced with an additional deadbolt. Lily pulled a key from her pocket, attached to a frayed lanyard around her neck. "Mom, it's me," she called as they entered. The single-room apartment was tiny but meticulously clean. A mattress occupied one corner, a small kitchenette another. A folding screen partially concealed a toilet and shower. What struck Jonathan most was the absence of things. No television, no computer, hardly any furniture beyond absolute necessities. On the mattress, a woman lay curled on her side. She stirred at Lily's voice, turning to reveal a face that might once have been beautiful, but was now gaunt, with dark circles under her eyes. "Lily, baby, where have you been?" I was so worried." Her voice was weak, but carried the unmistakable tone of maternal concern. Then she noticed Jonathan, and fear flashed across her features. "Who are you? What do you want?" Lily rushed to her mother's side. "This is Mr. Blake, Mama. He's okay. His baby was stuck in a hot car and I helped get him out." Grace Harper struggled to sit up, confusion evident on her face. "What are you talking about?" Jonathan stepped forward cautiously, acutely aware of how intimidating he must appear in this setting. A strange man in expensive, if somewhat disheveled, clothing, invading the sanctuary of their home. "Mrs. Harper, I'm Jonathan Blake. Your daughter saved my son's life today." The words caught in his throat. I accidentally left him in my car during a meeting. If Lily hadn't found him and broken the window." Understanding dawned on Grace's face, followed immediately by alarm as she noticed Lily's bandaged arms. "You're hurt. What happened?" "Just some cuts from the glass," Lily assured her. "The hospital fixed them." "But I was worried about you, Mama. Did you take your medicine?" Grace's eyes dropped. I was going to, but I got dizzy when I tried to get up." Jonathan watched their interaction with growing discomfort. It was clear that Lily was the caretaker here, despite being only 6 years old. The reversal of roles was jarring. "Mrs. Harper, I'd like to help," he said abruptly. "Lily saved Noah, my son. Please, let me do something in return." Grace's expression hardened. "We don't need charity, Mr. Blake." "It's not charity," Jonathan insisted. It's the least I can do. Your daughter is a hero." Lily, who had been checking pill bottles on a small shelf, turned back to them. "Mum, we're out of your medicine. There's only one pill left." The fear that crossed Grace's face was unmistakable, quickly masked for her daughter's benefit. "It's okay, baby. The clinic will have more." "But they said last time we needed money first," Lily reminded her, her small voice matter of fact. Jonathan seized the opening. "Please, Mrs. Harper, let me help with the medication at least, for Lily's sake." Grace hesitated, pride warring with necessity. Finally, she nodded once, curtly. "Just the medication." Relief flooded. "Jonathan, it was a start." "Of course, which pharmacy do you use?" The conversation that followed revealed the extent of their situation. Grace Harper had once been a nursing assistant at Houston Memorial, ironically the same hospital where Noah was now being treated. An autoimmune disease had forced her to leave her job 18 months ago. Without insurance, her medication, which kept the disease from attacking her vital organs, cost nearly $900 per month. The free clinic provided some assistance, but it wasn't enough. Their rent was 3 months behind. The electricity had been shut off twice this year, and yet somehow the apartment was clean. Lily attended school regularly. There were books, worn, library books stacked neatly beside the mattress. By the time Jonathan left, he had arranged for a 6-month supply of Grace's medication to be delivered, paid the overdue rent plus 3 months in advance, and scheduled an air conditioning repair service to fix their malfunctioning unit, all of which Grace had reluctantly accepted, her dignity clearly wounded with each offer of help. "I'll come back tomorrow to check on you," Jonathan told Lily, kneeling to her eye level near the door. "And to update you on Noah. Would that be okay?" Lily nodded, her solemn eyes studying his face. "Is your baby really going to be okay?" "Yes, thanks to you." Jonathan felt tears threatening again and blinked them back. "Lily, what you did today, I don't know if I can ever repay you." "You don't have to," she replied simply. "You're helping my mom. That's better than anything." In the car returning to the hospital, Jonathan was silent, lost in thought. The contrast between his life and theirs was staggering. He thought of his penthouse with its 5 bedrooms, the vacation home in Aspen, the private jet he'd recently purchased, all symbols of success that suddenly seemed hollow. Noah was conscious when Jonathan returned, though still heavily monitored. The pediatric intensive care unit was quiet, except for the steady beeping of machines and the soft footsteps of nurses. "Hey, buddy," Jonathan whispered, gently touching his son's arm. "Daddy's back." Noah's eyes fluttered open, focusing on his father's face. His tiny hand reached out, and Jonathan carefully unfolded it in his own. The simple gesture unleashed something in Jonathan's chest, a flood of emotion so powerful it nearly knocked him off his feet. He'd almost lost this perfect, innocent life, his son, the only family he had left after Emma died giving birth to Noah. Mr. Blake. Jonathan looked up to find Dr. Reyes standing nearby, chart in hand. "Noah's latest tests are encouraging," she said. "His body temperature has stabilized, and his organ function is normalizing. We'll continue monitoring him overnight, but I'm optimistic." "Thank you, Doctor." Jonathan's voice was rough with emotion. "When can I take him home?" "If he continues, improving at this rate, possibly in 48 hours, but Mr. Blake..." She hesitated. "The Department of Child Protective Services has been notified about the incident. It's standard procedure in cases like this." Jonathan felt a cold weight settle in his stomach. Will they take him away from me?" Dr. Reyes's expression softened. "That's very unlikely. This appears to be an isolated incident by an otherwise attentive parent. But there will be an investigation, and you'll need to meet with a social worker." Jonathan nodded, accepting this as part of his penance. "I understand." After Dr. Reyes left, Jonathan pulled a chair close to Noah's bed and sat vigil through the night. As Noah slept, Jonathan found himself thinking about Lily and Grace Harper, about the unfairness of a world where a child had to sell candy to buy medicine for her mother, about the accident of birth that had placed Noah in privilege and Lily in poverty. He thought about Emma, who had volunteered at homeless shelters despite her wealthy upbringing, who had always seen the humanity in every person she met. What would she think of him now? Of what he'd become since her death, focused solely on building his company, expanding his wealth, as if money could fill the void she'd left. And he thought about what had happened in that parking garage. How easily Noah's life could have ended, because Jonathan's priorities had become so warped that he'd forgotten the most precious thing in his world. By morning, as sunlight filtered through the blinds of the pediatric ICU, Jonathan Blake had made a decision. The help he'd given the Harpers wasn't enough, not nearly enough, not for what Lily had done, and not for the wake-up call she'd inadvertently delivered. Something needed to change. He needed to change, and it would start today. 3 weeks passed in a blur of hospital visits, social worker interviews, and life-altering decisions. Noah recovered fully, his resilient little body bouncing back, with no apparent lasting effects. The Department of Child Protective Services, after thorough investigation, determined that Noah should remain with his father, though Jonathan was required to attend parenting classes and submit to regular home visits for 6 months. He accepted these conditions without complaint. In fact, he embraced them, along with the painful lessons of that terrible day. The changes began immediately. Jonathan hired a new nanny, not just one, but 2, with overlapping schedules to ensure Noah was never without proper care. He installed a car seat alarm system that would alert him if he ever exited the vehicle while Noah remained strapped in. He reduced his working hours and delegated more responsibilities to his executive team. But the most significant change involved the Harpers. On his 3rd visit to their apartment, Jonathan arrived with a proposal instead of charity. He'd found a small house for rent in a safer neighborhood, close to a good elementary school. It had 2 bedrooms, a yard, and most importantly, it was within walking distance of Houston Memorial Hospital, where he'd arranged a job interview for Grace. "The hospital administrator owes me a favor," he explained to a suspicious Grace. "The position is in patient registration, desk work that won't be physically taxing. It includes health insurance after 90 days. Grace's pride battled with practicality. "Why are you doing all this?" Jonathan had prepared for this question, had rehearsed answers about gratitude and debt. But standing in their tiny apartment, watching Lily read to her mother from a library book, the practiced words felt hollow. "Because I need to," he said simply. "Because your daughter showed me what matters, and because I think Emma would want me to." "Emma?" "My late wife. Noah's mother." The words still hurt to say, even after nearly 9 months. "She died during childbirth. She was the best person I've ever known, until I met Lily. Something in Grace's expression softened. I'm sorry about your wife. Thank you. Jonathan hesitated, then continued. After Emma died, I threw myself into work. I thought if I could just make enough money, build enough security, somehow it would fill the hole she left. But it doesn't work that way, does it? Grace shook her head, a sad smile playing at her lips. No, it doesn't. When I saw Noah in Lily's arms that day, something broke inside me. And something else, something better, started to heal. Jonathan's voice grew quiet. Please let me help your family. Not out of pity or obligation, but because I think we might be able to help each other. 2 days later, Jonathan watched as Lily explored the small house, her eyes wide with wonder. There's a tree in the backyard, Mom. A real tree, she called, racing from window to window. Grace stood in the modest living room, still uncertain but allowing herself a cautious hope. It's only temporary, she reminded herself, just until I'm back on my feet. Jonathan didn't argue. He knew pride when he saw it. The job interview was successful. Grace would start as soon as she was physically able. In the meantime, Jonathan arranged for a specialist to review her case, adjusting her medication regimen to better manage her symptoms. Each small victory felt significant. Grace's first day without debilitating pain. Lily's delight at her new bedroom with its second-hand furniture and fresh yellow paint. The careful friendship forming between two broken families. Jonathan brought Noah to visit regularly. At first it was awkward. The luxury SUV parked on the modest street. The designer. Baby clothes a stark contrast to the surroundings. But children know nothing of social barriers. Noah, now 9 months old and crawling energetically, took to Lily immediately. He likes you, Jonathan observed, as Noah babbled happily in Lily's lap one afternoon. I like him too, she replied, helping the baby stack plastic blocks. He's much more fun now that he's not all red and sleepy. Jonathan winced at the reminder but nodded. Yes, he is. They settled into a routine. Jonathan would bring dinner several times a week, not from expensive restaurants which had made Grace uncomfortable, but simple home-cooked meals prepared by his new housekeeper. They would eat together, Lily chattering about school, Grace sharing cautious updates about her health improvements, Jonathan discussing Noah's latest developments. For the first time since Emma's death, Jonathan felt part of something like a family. The sensation was both painful and healing, a bittersweet reminder of what he'd lost, and a tentative glimpse of what might still be possible. Then, 6 weeks after the incident in the parking garage, Grace collapsed. It happened on a Sunday morning. Jonathan had taken Lily to the Children's Museum while Grace rested at home. When they returned, they found her unconscious on the bathroom floor, her skin clammy and lips tinged blue. The ambulance ride was a nightmare of déjà vu, the same sirens, the same hospital, the same terrible fear. But this time, Jonathan wasn't alone in his panic. Lily sat beside him in the waiting room, her small hand gripped tightly in his, both of them silent with worry. She was getting better, Lily whispered finally, her voice breaking. She was taking all her medicine. I know, sweetheart. Jonathan pulled her closer to his side. The doctors will figure out what's wrong. Hours passed before Dr. Reyes, the same pediatrician who had treated Noah, appeared. She had consulted on Grace's case at Jonathan's request. It's sepsis, she explained gravely, a severe infection that spread to her bloodstream. The autoimmune disease and the medications that treat it have compromised her immune system, making her vulnerable to infection. But she'll be okay, Jonathan asked, aware of Lily hanging on every word. Dr. Reyes glanced at Lily, choosing her words carefully. We are treating her aggressively with antibiotics and supportive care. The next 48 hours will be critical. Lily's fingers tightened around Jonathan's. What does that mean? It means we need to be very brave right now, Jonathan told her, meeting her eyes directly. It means your mom is very sick, but the doctors are doing everything they can to help her. Can I see her? Dr. Reyes nodded. Briefly, she's in intensive care. Grace lay surrounded by machines, an oxygen mask covering most of her face. Despite the equipment and the gravity of the situation, she managed to lift her hand when Lily approached, tears streaming down the child's face. "Mom," Lily whispered, touching her mother's fingers gently, "please get better." Grace's eyes, clouded with fever and medication, focused briefly on her daughter. She tried to speak but couldn't manage more than a weak squeeze of Lily's hand. Jonathan stood back, giving them privacy while remaining close enough to support Lily. He felt utterly helpless. All his money, all his business acumen, all his connections were useless against the infection ravaging Grace's body. When the nurses insisted they leave to allow Grace to rest, Lily turned to Jonathan with a devastating question. "If my mom doesn't get better, where will I go?" The question hit Jonathan like a physical blow. He knelt down, meeting Lily's tear-filled eyes. "Your mom is going to fight this with everything she has. But Lily, I promise you, no matter what happens, you will never be alone. Do you understand? Never." Would I go to foster care?" Her voice was small, frightened. Jonathan realized she'd probably worried about this possibility for a long time. "No," he said firmly. "Absolutely not. You would stay with Noah and me for as long as you needed, even if that means forever." The words came without hesitation or doubt. In that moment, Jonathan knew them to be absolutely true. This child, who had saved his son through an act of extraordinary courage, had become part of his life in ways he couldn't have imagined 6 weeks ago. Lily studied his face, searching for reassurance. "You promise?" "I promise." Jonathan brushed a tear from her cheek. "But let's focus on your mom getting better, okay? That's what's going to happen." That night, Jonathan brought Lily home with him for the first time. His housekeeper prepared the guest bedroom, complete with fresh flowers and a nightlight. Jonathan sat with Lily until she fell into an exhausted sleep, her small body curled protectively around a stuffed rabbit Noah had insisted on giving her. Afterward, he checked on Noah sleeping peacefully in his nursery, then went to his home office and made a phone call. "Daniel? It's Jonathan Blake. I need your help with something important." Daniel Reynolds had been Jonathan's attorney for a decade. "I need to know what would be involved in becoming Lily Harper's legal guardian if circumstances required it." The conversation was lengthy and complex. When it was over, Jonathan stood at his window looking out over the glittering Houston skyline. Somewhere in that vast city was the parking garage where Lily had saved Noah, where Jonathan's carefully constructed life had crumbled and something new had begun to take its place. He thought about what he was considering, inviting a child. He barely knew into his home permanently, taking on the responsibility of raising her if Grace didn't recover. It was impulsive, perhaps even reckless by his former standards. But Jonathan Blake was no longer the man he had been 6 weeks ago. That man had forgotten his own child in a car. That man had valued boardroom victories over bedtime stories. That man had been lost, though he hadn't known it until a 6-year-old girl with extraordinary courage had shown him the way back. 2 years later, they see. Backyard of the modest suburban home buzzed with activity. Streamers in rainbow colors fluttered from tree branches. A bounce house occupied one corner, filled with shrieking, laughing children. Tables laden with food and drinks stood under a canopy surrounded by chatting adults. In the center of it all was a cake, 3 tiers of chocolate and vanilla frosting, decorated with race cars and the words, "Happy 8th Birthday, Lily." Jonathan Blake stood at the grill, flipping burgers with practiced ease. He looked different from the polished executive of 2 years ago, more relaxed in jeans and a casual button-down, his face tanned from outdoor activities, laugh lines more prominent around his eyes. "Daddy, more juice boxes, please." Noah, now a sturdy toddler of 2.5, tugged at Jonathan's pants leg. His speech was remarkably clear for his age, a fact that the pediatrician attributed to having an older child in the house to talk with. Constantly. "Coming right up, buddy." Jonathan ruffled Noah's dark curls, so like Emma's. "Can you ask Lily if the birthday girl is ready for cake soon?" Noah nodded seriously and toddled off across the lawn, making a beeline for Lily, who was showing her friends how to make friendship bracelets at a craft table. Jonathan watched them with a fullness in his heart. that still sometimes caught him by surprise. "Need help with those burgers?" Grace Harper approached, carrying a tray of condiments. She looked transformed from the desperately ill woman Jonathan had first met, her face full, her step energetic, her eyes bright with health and contentment. "I think I've finally mastered the art of not burning them," Jonathan replied with a grin. "2 years of practice will do that." Grace laughed, arranging ketchup and mustard bottles on the side table. 2 years. Hard to believe, isn't it? They both glanced across the yard, where Lily was now helping Noah climb onto a chair, her protective instincts as strong as ever. The bond between the children had only deepened with time. Noah followed Lily everywhere, soaking up her knowledge, her imagination, her kindness. And Lily blossomed with the responsibility, finding in Noah the unconditional love of a little brother. "She's happy," Grace said softly. "Truly happy." Jonathan nodded. "So are you." It had been a long, difficult journey. Grace's sepsis had nearly taken her life. For days she had hovered between recovery and relapse, while Lily stayed at Jonathan's home, alternating between hope and terror. Jonathan had kept his promise, dividing his time between the hospital, the children, and necessary work obligations. When Grace finally turned the corner toward recovery, it was a slow process. Weeks in the hospital, more weeks of home care, physical therapy, constant medication adjustments. Throughout it all, the strange, improvised family they had formed held together. Jonathan hired round-the-clock nursing care for Grace. Lily split her time between Jonathan's penthouse and visits to her mother. Noah thrived in the expanded household, surrounded by people who adored him. By the time Grace was well enough to return to independent living, something fundamental had shifted. The boundaries between their lives had blurred. The small house Jonathan had rented for the Harpers stood empty. Neither Grace nor Lily wanted to return to it after so long away. Instead, Jonathan had purchased a comfortable home in a good neighborhood, halfway between downtown and the suburbs. 4 bedrooms, a large yard, excellent schools nearby. Grace and Lily took 2 of the bedrooms. Jonathan and Noah moved out of the penthouse and into the others. It wasn't conventional. It raised eyebrows among Jonathan's business associates and sparked gossip in the neighborhood. But it worked. Grace eventually took the position at the hospital, building a new career in healthcare administration. Jonathan restructured Blake Enterprises, installing a CEO to handle day-to-day operations while he focused on strategic direction and, more importantly, on being present for his expanded family. They were careful to maintain appropriate boundaries and roles. Grace and Jonathan were not romantically involved. Both still carried the shadows of their pasts too deeply for that. But they were partners in a different sense, co-parents to the children who had brought them together through extraordinary circumstances. "Mom, Dad, it's cake time," Lily called across the yard, using the names that had evolved naturally over time. She still called Grace Mom, of course, but somewhere along the way, Jonathan had become Dad too, a title he cherished. The party guests gathered around as Jonathan carried the cake to the table. Lily stood at the head, her face glowing with excitement. Noah perched on a chair beside her, clapping enthusiastically. "Make a wish, birthday girl," Grace said, lighting the 8 candles. Lily closed her eyes for a moment, then blew out all the candles in one determined breath. The crowd cheered and applauded. Later, as the party wound down and guests began to leave, Jonathan found Lily sitting alone on the porch swing, watching the sunset paint. The sky in shades of pink and gold. "Did you have a good birthday?" he asked, sitting beside her. "The best ever." She leaned against his side comfortably. "Dad, can I tell you something?" "Anything, sweetheart." "I remember what I wished for when I blew out my candles." Jonathan smiled. "I thought wishes were supposed to be secret. Usually, but I think this one already came true, so it's okay to tell." Lily looked up at him, her eyes serious. "I wished that we could stay like this forever, all of us together." Jonathan felt his throat tighten with emotion. "That's what I want too. Even though we're not a regular family, some kids at school say it's weird that Noah and I aren't really brother and sister, and you and Mom aren't married." Jonathan considered his response carefully. "Lily, families come in all different shapes and sizes. What matters isn't who's related by blood or who lives in which house. What matters is that we choose each other every day. We choose to care for each other and protect each other and love each other. That's what makes a real family." Lily nodded thoughtfully. "Like how I chose to help Noah that day." "Exactly like that." Jonathan pulled her closer in a one-armed hug. "That was the bravest, most important choice anyone has ever made for our family. It changed everything." "I'm glad," Lily said simply. "I like our family the way it is." From inside the house came the sound of Noah's laughter, followed by Grace's voice calling them in for dinner. The evening was settling around them, peaceful and secure. Jonathan thought back to that terrible day in the parking garage, the day he had almost lost everything that mattered. He remembered the crushing guilt, the overwhelming fear, the moment when he had seen his son in the arms of a tiny stranger. In the 2 years since, he had learned more about courage, resilience, and love than in all his previous 42 years combined. He had learned it from a child who had nothing but gave everything, from a woman who faced adversity with quiet dignity, from his son, who showed him daily the joy of discovery and the power of unconditional love. The company was still successful. The business deals still closed, the money still flowed, but Jonathan Blake measured wealth differently now. He counted it in Noah's goodnight kisses and Lily's report cards proudly displayed on the refrigerator, in Grace's recovery milestones and family movie nights, in the sound of children's laughter, filling his home. "Race you inside," Lily said suddenly, jumping up from the swing. "Last one in has to do the dishes." "That's not fair," Jonathan protested, laughing as he rose to follow. "You got a head start." But he didn't really mind, as he watched Lily dart through the door to join Noah and Grace in the warm light of their kitchen. Jonathan knew he had everything he could ever want, a family created not by circumstance or blood, but by choice, by courage, by love. And that made it the most real family of all. In the years that followed, there would be challenges and changes, growth and occasional growing pains. Noah would start school. Lily would enter her teens. Grace would advance in her career. Jonathan would find new purpose in philanthropy, establishing a foundation to help single parents in crisis. Life would unfold in unexpected ways, as it always does. But the foundation they had built, forged in a moment of crisis and strengthened by daily acts of care and commitment, would remain unshakable. Because they had learned the most important lesson of all: family isn't about perfect people. It's about imperfect people who refuse to give up on each other. It's about a little girl who once had nothing but was brave enough to save a baby she didn't know. It's about a man who had everything but was wise enough to recognize what truly mattered. It's about second chances and courage and the family we choose. It's about love.